Hey guys, Martin from Gonk Gang here. Gonna bring you another tournament recap. This is actually the same one that Dom went to, so the UK Games Expo. As you can see from his video, which should be in the description, he managed to get top 8 on the Friday, which made him qualify for the Sunday top 16, and he did pretty well there, though he got his first opponent was Joshua Freeman Birch, who ends up winning the whole tournament, so he got pretty unlucky with his matchup there, but he did a great job either way. As for me, I did awfully on the Friday. I ran a throw-on deck, and let's not talk about that one. But on the Saturday, I ran this Piett Red. It's a little bit different, this version. I've made a few changes. The only ones are I've put Shoot Down in instead of Phase 3 Dark Trooper, and I've swapped out two sideboard cards, that being a third Copia Traitoress and Big Devastator, for an Architect and an Executor. We'll get more into the sideboard and why I think the sideboard still isn't perfect. Since Dom did a video where he did a full breakdown on all his matchups and sort of what happened on the Friday for him and the Sunday for him, I figured, how about for my one, let's not just do the same sort of style, and I'll just jump into some Carabas gameplay, so I'll go over how you play the deck. So if you're only interested in the gameplay, go to the timestamp in the description to skip to the gameplay. Otherwise, you can sit and I'll talk about sort of how my days went at the tournament as well. Right, so on the Saturday, I brought this deck sort of as a sort of, I don't know, I wanted to have fun because I love Piett Red, but one thing I've always struggled with is, like, I'm not a big fan of the sort of control playstyle that most Piett Reds run. Like, they sort of run as many removal options as possible with every single ramp card, and that's sort of how they play it. I decided to run the droid package with the Invisible Hand, Vanguard, Droid Bomber, and Viper. Obviously I had the phase freeze at the same time, but you don't get to play them up for free, which is why I ended up taking them out. And this is sort of my much more preferred playstyle. I think Invisible Hand is a really slept on card at the moment. Just because it allows you to sort of play an alternate end game, which is reach a critical mass of droids on the board, which is kind of funny that I think Piett has become the best separatist leader in the game. Pretty weird. But it also, as I found, it's just really powerful into the control matchup, right? I mean, you attack with Invisible Hand or you play it, and when you play it, as long as you find that droid, then suddenly you're immune to Power of the Dark Side, you're immune to Merciless Contest. And even if they do have just normal removal to get rid of your Invisible Hand, guess what? Everything you play later will also have protection against Power of the Dark Side stuff, even the Piett deploy. Just because the droid is still left behind. And unlike other sort of ships that you play out with Piett for 5 or whatever that can be instantly removed, this still has a ongoing effect, and so does Raider, of course. So yeah, that's why I decided to go with this this deck. I didn't obviously expect to get top 8. I was just sort of wanted to have fun. But hey, whatever. Turns out this deck's crazy. I won't go over the matchups in too much detail, but I will say that I believe out of the 8 people I played on the Saturday, I think only 2 or 3 of them didn't end up making it to top 16, and the rest did. So it's not like I played against, like, a sort of submarine matchup where I lost my first game and then played against everyone else who lost. No, I did play against people who made it a lot of people made it to top 8 as well. I think 3 of my opponents made it to top 8. So really tough games. And I only managed to lose to 1, which was the Hand 2 Blue, who's a friend of mine who plays other locals, who's been playing that deck since set 2 pretty much non-stop. I don't think he plays anything else. So yeah, that was like an auto lose matchup that he won 2 over there. It just felt like there's nothing I could do. And then of course my 8th game ended up being an intentional draw. And then on the Sunday I ended up playing against, my first game was against a Luke Tarkentown, which was pretty interesting, Luke 4. Unfortunately, as I think you'll see in the gameplay, I think I've already recorded a few, and I just can't stop getting space aggro, you see that this deck is really good against space aggro, obviously. Because, who guessed it, you play a turn 1 unit, you play a ramp next turn, you play a large ship, and then you play OB on it, and turns out that beats pretty much almost all decks. The only thing it struggles with is control decks, which we'll get into, but also, as I found, I do struggle pretty much against Quinlan Tarkentown, if it's played right. I think with the combination of it going fast and also being able to play Spark Rebellion and the Kira unit to stop your overwhelming barrage, that pretty much just means you can't beat it. Like, the only way I've found to beat the Quinlan is to just hope that they don't stop your overwhelming barrage, so you can't really plan around that. Which is why I think I'm going to have to mess with the sideboard a little more for that matchup, because originally before these tournaments I didn't think it was a matchup that I'd be too scared of, but who knew? That's crazy. Yeah, so before I get into gameplay right now, I'll just go over the matches very quickly. Sort of generalize it. Against aggro decks like Sabine, Vader Yellow, I think you're pretty much going to win this game. Like, your main thing against Vader Yellow is to draw Overwhelming Barrage, and your main play against Sabine is to make sure that they don't get Darksaber on Sabine, because then that's a worry. But other than that, you should be good. Against the space deck, you play Vanguard on turn 1 if you can, and turn 2 ramp. Turn 3, play a big spaceship. Turn 4, OB. Crazy. If you don't have that, then you play Devastator on turn 4, Interplanetary next turn. If you don't have that, you might be losing. We'll see. Against Sabine, like I say, a lot of their ECL stuff doesn't really matter because it's all on ground. They play Chewbacca and a spaceship early on. Sure, that's going to hurt, but your removal is damage based, so you can pretty much get rid of it pretty quickly. Yeah, not a problem. Cad Bane Tarkentown, I've actually played against a few of these. Because I also should mention that this version of the deck I ran in a Preston PQ, which I managed to get 3rd place, I believe. And yeah, I played against Tarkin there as well, or Tarkentown, Cad Bane there. And I think this is just a winning matchup because their best tool is to save their Tarkentown to kill your Devastator, or maybe your Invisible Hand. And most CAD players don't see that until maybe game 2, so if you're against someone who's a bit more experienced, it might be more difficult. But otherwise, you should be good. The 25 health on the base is pretty easy to take care of. The exception there is, of course, the Quinlan Tarkentown. So in the games that I've played in total, which is the Saturday, I played 8 games. The Sunday, I played 2 games. And then this weekend I played in the PQ and I played another 8 games. So in 18 games I only lost 4, and all 4 of them was like the same sort of style. So I lost against 2 Quinlans who were hand ripping, but specifically hand ripping to remove OB or to prevent OB. They weren't overdoing it, because I did play against a Quinlan that I beat that was full on just hand rip. And I ended up winning because I just kept drawing better and better stuff, and they really didn't have anything on board besides a couple 3 attack units. So you don't want to go full hand rip, but hand ripping at opportune moments and knowing when to do it, that's the difference. And also the other 2 decks I lost to were the Hand 2 Blue and the Anakin Blue, which once again, it's heroism, it's decks that's running pillage and force throw, and decks that just sort of, I don't know, have a lot of tricks up their sleeve to stop the sort of game plan of Piett. So I think those are the matchups you want to watch out for. Probably the scariest ones are Heroism Red and, you know, Yellow and Blue also in particular. I don't think Villainy Control is as scary. Like, I beat a few Kiras with this deck. It can be close. I even beat a Pout Blue in the PQ, which I didn't think I was going to do because I think he was just going to steal all my stuff. It was close in the 3 games we played, but yeah. So that's the sort of style that you want to be looking out for. try your best to figure out how to win those matchups. I'm going to spend some time practicing against the Hero Red game plan, especially for set 5. I think I'm going to run this deck some more in set 5, just because there's a few cards that are coming out that I can't wait to test in here. The HK droid, the 2/4 legendary that deals 1 damage when an enemy is defeated. That's a 2-cost droid. That goes crazy in this deck. The 2/3 droid that costs 2, that defeats a non-unique upgrade when you play it, I think is going to be crucial next set, because the amount of decks that probably run General's Blade and constructed lightsabers and all this, I think that card's going to go crazy. But the one I'm most excited about is the card that people keep saying is bad, but I don't think they've really thought about it for this archetype, and that is the Droid Invasion Ship. It's called something like that, right? The Invasion Control Ship, something like that. 7-cost red capital ship, 5/9 with the ability to give all droids raid 2. It's like they thought about this deck when they made that, because it's a 7-drop, which means that Piett can just deploy and then play it out for 5 resources, which is kind of crazy. Obviously, you don't want to do it against villain control or villain blue, because they just power the dark side Piett away and then you're screwed. But yeah, and honestly, I can't wait to make a video on that, because I think that's going to be so fun. I don't know how strong it's going to be, especially if there's going to be heroism red blue and heroism red yellow everywhere, which are the main counters for this deck. It's going to be a real worry. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed my discussion here on this, and we're going to get into the gameplay now. If you have any advice for me on how to beat these fucking heroism decks that are running red, then please let me know. If you have any advice on how to change a deck, let me know. And if you've run this deck yourself in any tournaments, hey, let me know how it went for you. I'm interested to see. I want to know what matchups you might have struggled with. I want to know, how I can help give advice. And yeah, let's see if I can play some games that are actually, good ways of teaching how to play the deck. See you there. Okay, our first game is against a Cad Tarkentown, which is a matchup I've played a few times already. This is a good hand. What I'm looking for is 2 ramp cards to start, because I think in this matchup most Cad players, if they know what they're doing, they're just going to play Bazine turn 1. So I've got the price in your head and I've got the super laser tech. So we're going to pass here, so I can play price in your head. You might Bazine, yeah, okay. Probably take super laser tech, I'd imagine. But we can just price in your head on the Bazine and then kill it with force choke next turn, if they don't McClunky the Bazine, which could be awkward. We're going to keep the planetary. We'll keep the as well, just in case they just McClunky here. But I honestly don't mind if they McClunky, because it means it's gone. Yep, force choke and we get the ramp. Yeah, they McClunkied there anyway. McClunky's one of the best tools to hit one of our 6 health units. And then Tarkentown it. So we got the Raider, which is the best pull possible. We got pretty lucky here. Kills the unit and 2 to base. It's weird they're playing the Forlom here. Oh, I guess it's so they can play Zuckuss next turn to ambush Piett, so I'm just going to claim. The Undid. Yep. Oh, they didn't do the CAD ping, I guess, and they wanted to do it. Yeah, we're not playing Piett into this because he just probably has Zuckuss, and Zuckuss gets +1/+1 in ambush next turn, so he just immediately kills Piett. So it's not worth it. Much rather keep it. Okay, 4 to base. We're not going to do OB here. I think I'm going to do planetary bombardment. I assume he's just going to do... Okay, surprise strike. Nice. We'll do 12. He doesn't have a lot of health to soak that up with Forlom, but he's probably going to take 3 on Forlom anyway. Yeah. Nice 9 to base. Leaves our board pretty bare, but like, I don't know, I'm scared of Waylay maybe on the Raider, but then I'm just going to play Devastate next turn anyway. We'll see. Another one of these. It's a weird card to have in your deck. Normally they just run the Star Hopper. Is it Star Hopper? Jump Master, that's it. So yeah, we'll just play Devastator out now. And we deal with both these units and get 1 to base. I don't know how they're going to come back from this now. Like double waylay maybe. Even then we just play out the Devastator again, do 4 more to base, and then... Okay, yeah, so the IG lets them ping probably the Raider. I'll do the damage to Raider because they're probably going to target town anyway. Get that 4 to base first. Okay, with Crafty deployed, then I know there's nothing they can do to kill my Devastator here, so I'm just going to claim. And it should just be game. They got no resources, they got no way to target town the Devastator. I think that's just it. Even if they target town away the Raider, they can kill Piett with Cad Bane. Yeah, I mean, it looks like they've disconnected. Vader 1. It's not a matchup I've tried yet. It's a pretty good hand. I think we actually resource an OB here, which is kind of sad. I'd be tempted to get rid of the turn 1 just because you can likely kill it pretty easy, but we'll see. He's likely got 1 drop plus ping, but yeah. 1 drop plus ping and a way to kill it, that's not too bad. But it doesn't matter to me that much. 3 damage is 3 damage. Now we're not drawing a 5-drop deploy here, which would be a nice thing to find. Let's see if we get it next. Yeah, okay. That's a good one. I feel like the Raider is the one we want over the Invisible Hand. I'm not sure if Maul is that important, is the question. Let me get rid of Maul. Alright. Let's play out this Raider. And I'm going to deploy Piett and play Devastator and then Interplanetary. This is sort of a standard sort of play. The only difference is, I guess, I resourced an OB, which you wouldn't normally want to do. Are they going to open 5 of this, maybe? What have they got? Okay, I think I claim here then. You can ping it once with Vader, but it doesn't kill it, so I'm going to get the 4 damage on base. I was going to say, I suppose it's risky. He might have Daring Raid, but I think he would have, if he had Daring Raid, he would have already played it. Let's do that 4. That's not bad. So if I play out this Devastator, then he just kills it with that, which would be a trade, but I'm not taking that. Okay. He can ping it for 1 now, which means we're just going to deploy Vader out, or deploy Devastator out, and do 4 to base. My assumption he's going to trade into this. Oh no, he has to choose 1, so what's he going to do? He's attacking base and pinging the Raider? Now I'm starting to think I should have done at least 3 damage to the... But it literally doesn't matter because I'm just going to play Planetary next turn anyway. Either way it's the same damage. Ramp is just a free resource at this point. I'm tempted now to keep this for when Vader deploys just to kill him, but it's probably not worth it. I mean, it's also tempting to just put all 12 at the base, which would get him to, what, 29? I would do that if I had Piett lethal, because I imagine once I do that, he's just going to trade with Devastator. He would not let that hit. So I'd much rather play the Planetary. It's looking like he's disconnected. If he has, then... Oh, never mind. So yeah, we play this. 3 there, and then 9 to base. He might have a way to deal with this. He has 6 resources, so probably... I don't even know. No? Yeah, okay. Next game. Yep. It seems like a pretty good matchup for us. I feel like it's one of those, though, if they get rampant and we don't, then they win. But who's to say? Alright, let's see. Vader yellow now. Swap to the other Carabas because there seems to be a lot of people who play this version nowadays rather than the other one. I could keep Devastator, but I think the game ends before I get there, so I'm going to get rid of it. I play that Viper Probe droid. What do you know? Double 1-drop. Waylay is painful though. That is going to be awkward, which means we probably want to play Raider for sure, rather than Invisible Hand if we get it, just to have that immediate effect. Okay, the MC30 can go now. What a crazy draw. Alright, I'll go 3 to base. This might be the last game I show just because I keep getting the same decks to play against, but it's worth noting that if you're against something like Quinlan, something that discards cards often, you want to make sure your opening hand or your next hand you keep your resupply. You have at least 2 resupplies. If you can't do that, then try and have initiative going into the second turn. If that means playing nothing on turn 1, then do that so that you can play the resupply immediately. You don't want them stealing it. Okay. Let's play out that Raider and blow up the tie. He is going to waylay this, assumedly. But that's okay. If he doesn't, then that's massive for us. There's always a chance he doesn't because he's scared of the on-play effect, but I don't know what else he could be doing. I guess he could play Clone Combat. That could be something he wants to do. But look at this, we're still sort of keeping up with the damage, but we are getting to that point now. Oh, he did not play the Waylay. Okay. So this is pretty big, because now we get to OB. I think that's a massive mistake from him. Because we get to OB and kill 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's probably a better way to do that. I think we keep a tie alive. So we go 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and then we go. I think that's enough. We can have all those 1-drops. Now he'll probably waylay this. He's not going to. Yeah, I'm just gonna go in for 6 and we'll play the aggro game now. Did he resource Waylay? Against Piett, that's like the worst thing you can do. Waylay is one of the most painful cards to play against. So now he waylaid it? Yeah, okay, well, this is very confusing. So let's see, we can do... Let's shoot down on this guy. Steal 2 to base. Now Vader can play into one of them, doesn't really matter. Gonna go 3. And if he's got nothing, I can Piett to base plus Raider and that's it. And he knows I've got the Raider. Yeah, okay. Raider to base. Yeah, let's be honest, he should have waylaid the Raider when I played OB on it. That one really might have probably would have been better, in fact, waylaying the Raider like the turn I played it. I don't know. Alright, let's finish it off. One more game. This is against the hand 2 below, so hopefully I can show you one of the more difficult matchups here. This is definitely one that I struggle with in person for sure. Not a great hand there. I'm gonna have to get rid of it. Hopefully we can find that ramp. It's pretty bad. I mean, we've got a nice choice of the 5-drop capital ships, but we want to keep that Devastator plus Planetary in hand. I'm gonna have to pass and shoot down. Nope. That's fine. We'll just Merciless whatever he plays now, unless it's a ship, and then we'll shoot down. Did not find the ramp though, so this might be a good example of what happens when you don't find the ramp. It's a shame I'm against a bad matchup, but I I think we have to get rid of the Architects here, because all the other cards I want to keep. Shoot down is the only thing we'll be able to do this turn. Hopefully... it's looking like it might be a quick loss if it carries on this way. We've got a Force Choke for the Poe, but I think... I don't know, I think I'd rather get down a ship, so... And we find an that's nice. There's a lot of cards there I don't like seeing go to the bottom, but gotta deal with it, I guess. We can't deploy Piett here because Poe just kills. Does cost him a card, but it's not the end of the world. It's worth him killing. So I think we're just going to keep Piett undeployed and then OB on the invisible hand. It's tempting now. Go on. Now that he's actually attacked, I'll deploy. I see there's a card that I'm not normally expecting in the hand blue. I think that's just because... Oh, I should have seen how much damage... Okay, I'm really fumbling this game. We're not out yet though, because we can play Devastator now. Well, next turn I can play OB even now. I want to get rid of this space threat first. I'm actually going to put Poe down to 2 health so that is a threat. Then even if he kills with the on attack from Poe Dameron, there's a good chance when I attack with the invisible hand I can make a new threat for him from a droid. And even if it doesn't, I have Devastator next turn to finish him off. So presumably, yeah, he's going to do 6 to base, discard a card to kill the Yep. 2 to base. Another 8. So we're actually keeping up damage-wise, and we didn't really have anything that great. I mean, on the 4 resource turn, we played nothing. Ooh. That's another card I don't think I've mentioned yet. Cham is one of the worst cards against... Or that I don't want to see, you know. Because we ramp, it just nullifies that ramp. And especially in hand 2. It's quite cheap for them. This is quite a scary board. And not really... It's gotten even worse. Oh. Okay, I wouldn't have traded the... Because if we had another OB, he'd be really screwed here. But Devastator is just as good, because we get to kill Poe and then Cham. I don't want to kill K2, because K2 is less damage. And we get another droid that's... we'll go with for the burn. We can even kill K2 with this and now we're ahead in every... Oh. Alright, well I didn't expect him to surrender. Surely, I mean, I must have bricked his hand or something. Yeah, that's surprising. I don't normally win these matchups. He just needed to find Fellow Dragon, stuff like that, I guess, which he didn't see, which would have made this matchup more difficult. Maybe force throws, stuff like that. We kind of bricked, but I guess one of my favorite parts about this deck is that you always have a chance to come back. Your late game is so strong with Piett Red. It matches a lot of the control decks. You're just getting it out faster, and that's sort of the plan. So there's a good example of how even if you brick, you could still sort of come back. So okay, so final thoughts on the deck. Yeah, not only is it really fun to play, but it's also really strong, and it's exactly my playstyle. So I think this is my current favorite deck in the whole game. If you guys have been watching the channel, you know I've been trying to play Piett since I guess since he got announced, really. Red was the first color I tried with, though it wasn't really working out. I hadn't quite figured out how to play it, and then I tried the blue version, but I'm not really a control player, I feel like. I mean, I can do it, but I just don't find it entertaining, especially if we're doing 8 games in a day. Best of 3s. Yeah, I don't want to do that. I even tried the yellow version before the triple dark raid ban. And of course before the Django ban. And it was really strong, but there was a lot of Piett counters going around, because a lot of people thought Piett was going to be everywhere. And also because a lot of the Piett counters just also happen to be great counters against triple dark raid Django. So ever since all those got banned, Piett has kind of been slowly making his way back up into the ranks of good decks, and I think Red has finally been realized as the best version. So, anything I'd change about this? Definitely the sideboard, the Executor. I love the ship, and I do enjoy the card. I think it's really fun. I don't think it's competitive at all. I was mostly putting it there for the PQ that I went to because I wanted to test run it, and I did sideboard it in against a few control decks. The whole idea is, you play it out, it creates 3 ties, so Power of the Dark Side Merciless doesn't work on it, and even if you get super laser blasted, 3 ties are created, which is great because that means your next ship you're going to play is going to be immune to Power of the Dark Side, stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, to be fair, if you manage to play out and it doesn't get killed immediately, then you pretty much just win the game. Like if you get 1 attack in with it. So all in all, matchups you want to look out for: Hero Red, pretty much either the yellow version or the blue version. Red Green Hero is like, I think if it's hand 2, it can be awkward and hard to beat. If it's anything else, it's definitely winnable. But yeah, all the other matchups, honestly, I think it's got game into almost everything. The control decks can be awkward, obviously, if they get the best hand draw, but everyone's on Data Vault right now, so they might struggle to draw exactly what they need when they need it. And I can't wait for set 5. Stay tuned for a video on this deck again in set 5 when I get to try out all the new droid shenanigans. It's not a deck that I was expecting to play in the 4th set, but you know what? Why not? Let's go crazy. Thanks for watching, guys. Leave a comment down below if you've tried this deck yourself, how it went, and as well if you've got any advice on how to change it. And if there's anything else you want to see, any set 5 leaders you want to see gameplay of, let me know, and we'll get that sorted. So, see you next time.